Target seems to attract a certain set of customers, one kind of which is so infamous for their entitled and senseless behavior that an entire first name has been hijacked to describe them: the Karen. As someone who worked at Target for over 6 years, I am well versed in their day-ruining outbursts. I started the job when I was 18, and I kept working there even after college. Actually, I only just recently quit, and it was because of a Karen. I thought I'd seen everything they could throw at me, and as much as I hated to take their abuse whenever they felt like dishing it out, I never flipped my switch or walked out of a shift over it, because I was not about to let someone else's dissatisfaction with their lives make mine any worse. That was all until this one especially unhinged suburban succubus decided to top every tantrum I'd ever seen. Funny thing about her, though, was that she managed to dump her hidden frustrations on me when I was out working a very easy and relatively Karen-proof job: a self-checkout attendant. There's not much to do in that position, just make sure people aren't stealing and help people with whatever little problems that come up. And 99% of the time, all that means is removing an item that they accidentally scanned twice. That was how it started with this one lady. She was clearly flustered or in a bad mood when she walked past me to go to the checkout station. She was beet red, pushing a cart full of 100 little things and sucking air like she was out of breath. I figured she would create some kind of problem, and I knew I was right when she was scanning things for about 10 seconds, and the light above her went from green to red. I quickly went to help her so she wouldn't get impatient, but she immediately started spitting Karen-flavored venom in my face. "Go away," she hissed. "All I did was scan this stupid thing twice. I can figure it out myself." "Sorry," I began, already biting the inside of my cheek. "I'll have to enter my employee code to authorize that." "Why?" she shouted. "Do you people not trust us to run a simple register?" "It's store policy," I said. "It'll only just take a second," as I reached over to the screen and punched in my number. As I did this, the Karen looked at my arm like she was about to bite it off or something. "Next time, ask before you invade my personal space," she screamed in my face. "My apologies, ma'am. Let me know if you need anything else," I said while retreating away from her bubble of loathing. Of course, she made sure to get the last word. "I don't want anything from you. Just leave me alone," she said. It already felt like the whole store was rolling their eyes and averting their stares as I walked back to the front of the section. Miss Karen was stuck scanning items into her station long enough for a whole entire new set of people to come around and go around her. At one point, I saw that she had double scanned another item, so I started to approach her again, but then she almost backhanded me across the face and screamed at me. "Forget about it. I'll just pay for it twice. That's obviously the racket you're running here." I backed off, and because she almost hit me, I was ready to boot her out of the store, so I quietly notified the manager of the development through my earpiece. By the time I got done with that exchange, I looked back over to the Karen to see that she was striking the touchscreen in frustration and wailing like a banshee. "What do you mean there's 3 types of green peppers? I only saw one. It's just a green goddamn pepper. Just let me scan it, you stupid worthless machine." Apparently she was struggling with the process of looking up her produce, so I gave it one last-ditch effort to help her. "Excuse me, ma'am, if you're having trouble using the self-checkout machine, any one of our associates can ring it up for you the old-fashioned way." "How about you shut up? I don't want to talk to any of you people. Why do you think I'm trying to do this myself in the first place? I've had it with you and your associates, always patronizing me like I'm some sort of helpless baby." At this point, I totally gave up on her. I walked away, and my manager spoke through the earpiece that she could hear her screaming from the office and had already called the manager of the Publix down the street to send their resident police officer our way in case things got any worse. A few more minutes passed, and the Karen was still not done ringing herself up. She had one more item left in her cart, and I have no idea where she got it from. She tried to scan it 10 times, but the machine kept saying the item was not found, meaning it wasn't in our system. This was the last straw for her. She started to kick and punch the screen so hard, I was surprised it didn't break right then. I saw the manager approaching her, looking pissed off, so I went up with her. The manager asked her to please finish checking out or to leave her items and exit the store. In other words, please get the hell out. All this did was enrage the insane woman even more. Out of nowhere, she swung on the manager. The blow connected right on the edge of the jaw, shocking my boss so hard that she fell on her butt. I rushed over to help her, but I couldn't even get a word in. The Karen was cackling like a witch, and right as I was turning my head to tell her to shut up, so I could see if my boss was alright, she threw an entire roll of quarters at my face. First one hit me square in the eye, leaving me with a giant bruise, but there was more of where that came from. I guess she had intended to pay at the self-checkout with coins the whole time, because her purse was full of rolls of quarters, and she started pelting them at anyone who came near. That's when my boss, someone I've never heard swear before in my life, got to her feet and dragged me away, uttering the words, "Hey, leave that woman alone, you damn psycho." There were tears in my eyes as she walked me off, but I remember rubbing them away just enough to see a cop hustling over to the scene. I didn't want to see what happened next, but according to my coworkers who were watching the whole thing, the Karen's little temper tantrum came straight to an end when that cop body slammed her so hard that she got a concussion from her head hitting the ground. Now it's probably understandable why I didn't even bother putting in my 2 weeks notice after that, so I quit at the end of the day. I know I've never been what I guess is considered a normal person. More often than not, simple things like going to the grocery store can feel daunting because I know it's going to be packed with quote-unquote normal people living out mundane aspects of their boring lives, like a bunch of soulless NPCs. It's honestly creepy, but the only thing that personally gets to me about it is the toxic tendency of these supposedly respectful people to pass judgment on me just because of the way I look or act. Don't get me wrong, I do the same, but only when I feel like I'm being mentally attacked by everyone I see. It's just the looks in the eyes of some people that lets me know they're criticizing my existence at a literal first glance, rather than seeing me as a real person. If anything, I'm more real than them. All that being said, I took a trip to Target the other day, and for the first time ever, it was more for fun than actually needing to go. I was out hanging with my girlfriend on her side of town, which is kind of in the zone where the suburbs start to meet the rural countryside. She told me she used to hang out at this Target after school since it was right next to the mall, and that it was always full of the weirdest people. So I guess it might sound hypocritical of what I said before, that we were going there to people watch, but at the end of the day, I don't really care. My girlfriend and I sort of embolden each other to let our more peculiar tendencies take hold. That's what made this trip to Target so fun, though. All we needed to get were Mother's Day cards, but we went across the entire store like it was an amusement park. Everywhere we went, we saw the saddest looking people, and it felt like they were all so empty inside that they didn't even notice us. I mean this literally, as in they would walk straight into us with their carts. Either they were distracted by thinking about where to go, or there was nobody really piloting those bodies at all. We saw the whole gamut of the residents of liminal suburbia. Everyone from unhappy married couples bickering at each other, to white high school girls yakking in the makeup department, and even some freakish looking people that could have easily been aliens wearing human skin. I'm sure we stuck out like crazy people too, though. We couldn't help but laughing at all the people we saw, and we didn't always try that hard to get out of earshot before cracking jokes. We weren't able to stop ourselves from swearing with some not so inside voices either. I guess we got so worked up from the stress of being cooped up with all those people that we very quickly lost our manners. It only made the judgmental stares even worse, but we didn't really care. Eventually though, we wanted to make our escape, so we finally went to the cards section to pick out Mother's Day cards for our moms. Of course, this was the most crowded section in the whole store. It was so bad that I was sweating. There was a woman right next to us talking really loud on her phone, and a mother and a father with their kindergarten-age kid running around, not to mention a bunch of depressed millennials sighing as they thought about their relationships with their mothers. I found a card for my mom pretty quickly. It just so happened that I lucked out and found the perfect one on the third try. My girlfriend was having more trouble though, so I kept looking for her. That's when I pulled out this one joke card that said something like, "It's Mother's Day, the one day of the year where you don't have to lift a finger, and if anybody asks you to, you know which one to use." I thought it was a pretty funny middle finger joke that I might have gotten from my own mom, so I showed it to my girlfriend, who was crouched down looking at the other cards in the bottom row. She didn't get it though. By her own admission, she has trouble with grasping wordplay. "Wait, what finger?" she asked me. So in a moment of forgetting that we were surrounded by people, I jokingly flipped her the bird. The timing of this could have not been worse. Right as I did this, that little kid was standing right behind her, so I might as well have given a small child the middle finger right in their face. What's worse, his 6 foot tall by 4 foot wide, bald, meat-headed father was standing right behind him. I would have felt guilty just for the mistake, but since the dad saw it too, I wasn't going to get away with just feeling guilty. Right away, the dad's fat face expanded with a surge in blood pressure, turning red as his veins started to bulge. "What'd you do that for, punk?" he barked at me. I stepped back and put my hands up. "I'm sorry, sir, that wasn't meant for him. I really didn't see him there." I was trying to sound genuine, but I guess I have a bad habit of sounding sarcastic in serious situations. "Don't be a coy with me, boy." Suddenly he reached over my still crouching girlfriend and grabbed me by the collar, yanking me within an inch of his face. I could literally smell the Buffalo Wild Wings and stale beer on his breath. My girlfriend yelped as I inadvertently kicked her while being dragged so suddenly. She scrambled out of the way, but now I unfortunately had something to be upset about too. "Hey man, I'm really sorry, but you're not going to beat me up in front of that kid if you care so much about a middle finger, right?" Now I was really using a coy tone, and I could also feel the shit-eating grin spreading across my face. I just couldn't help it. The dude was such a pig. I wasn't even scared of pissing him off anymore. I thought the bruised brain could be worth the laugh. "I just might if you don't watch your mouth, you little shit," he said. I could tell he was about to reach his limit and cross the line from assault into battery as he started to lift me up off my feet, but luckily I was saved by his unhappy marriage. His wife had been basically ignoring this whole encounter until she found the card she was looking for, but now she was coming back to rein in her dog. Her husband. "Dave, I don't have the time or patience for another one of your tantrums, okay? Why don't you be more like your son and calm down before you have another heart attack? I can't afford another ER trip either. God, it's like I'm living with two toddlers. Let's just get home before you miss your precious college football game and whine about it for the rest of the night." Big old Dave huffed and puffed and rolled his eyes, but eventually he listened to his nagging wife and put me down. Without another word, the family of three rolled on toward checkout, and the onlookers of the scene started to whisper and giggle. I found my girlfriend and we discussed the whole situation in detail before checking out and leaving the store. I tried to find it amusing, but I was actually a bit shaken up. She tried to act shaken up, but I could tell she was amused deep down. That's a good balance in a relationship, right? Target used to be a safe place for me. Whenever I was there, I could just be myself, talk with my friends, and buy cute things. There was never any expectation of being forced to do anything I didn't want to do, talk to anyone I didn't want to talk to, or anything else I might have to deal with at school or at my parents' house. My bestie Madison and I would often go after school on days when there wasn't anything else to do. We'd always buy something so the workers wouldn't accuse us of loitering, but we wanted to buy stuff anyway. A lot of the people who worked there started to recognize us and stopped asking us if we needed help all the time, which we appreciated. It's not like we went to Target to meet people, obviously. We just went there to talk to each other. Of course, every nice thing seems to get ruined eventually, and a safe place becomes a place in which you were traumatized. This happened just a few weeks ago when I was at Target with Madison in the makeup area. We were discussing some tea, as we usually do, when this absolutely horrid hobo-looking dude walked over to us from the shaving aisle and started hitting on us. "Excuse me, ladies, can I ask you a question?" Madison and I laughed in his face at first, hoping this would crush his soul enough to screw off, but he lingered, so I felt like I had to say something. Why? Well, you both seem very attractive, so I wanted to ask your opinion on which deodorant I should buy." He held up two kinds of deodorant in both hands, which I hadn't even noticed he was holding before. Still, I was trying to shut him down immediately. "Sorry," I said with fake niceness. "We're kind of in the middle of a conversation." This still didn't work, though. "Oh, I know. I was listening. I hate to interrupt, but from your conversation, I can tell you're both probably sexually active young women. So, I'm sure you can give me good advice." "Ew," I yelled, almost gagging. "You're eavesdropping on us? Why would we help you?" "Honestly," said Madison, rolling her eyes. "Just pick the one you like the most and leave us alone." Unfortunately and disgustingly, it seemed like the more we yelled at this guy and humiliated him, the more turned on he got. He kept inching closer to us as the creepy smirk on his face turned into a drooling grin. "Oh, come on, ladies, help me out here. I need your opinion. You're the kind of girls I want to attract, so I need to know what smells good to you." "Really?" she wheezed, then slowly collected herself just enough to lay it on him. "On behalf of all hot girls, no. All girls everywhere. Not a single one of them is going to want anything to do with you, no matter what you smell like." Finally, it seemed like we were starting to hurt his feelings, so I joined in. Yeah, I mean seriously, you look like my ex-boyfriend's shower drain when he shaved his pubes. Madison slapped me on the shoulder, crying from laughter. What's that even supposed to mean? I smirked and looked the creep dead in the eyes. It means you're a disgusting, revolting, ratty, greasy clump of filth. And you know what else? You're even shorter than my ex-boyfriend, so why don't you go jump back into the sewer you crawled out of, because obviously that's where you belong. I really thought that would be the final blow, but the creep just stood there for a second, clearly at a loss, all while Madison and I just kept laughing at him. But then, slowly, the smirk returned to his face. I see how it is, he mumbled, putting one of the sticks of deodorant on the shelf next to him, then opening the other one. I guess you don't want me to ask nicely. Neither of us were really paying attention to what he was doing, though. We don't want you to ask us anything at all, you weirdo. Come on, take the hint. I was still laughing as I said those words, but I stopped in the next moment as he took off his shirt, exposing a nightmarish chest of matted hair. I yelled at the top of my lungs so the whole store could hear what was going on. This was one of those moments when we did need help from an employee. Both of us were honestly completely stunned, watching him put the deodorant on one of his armpits in total shock with our jaws to the floor. But then, the worst thing imaginable happened. That sicko lunged toward us and grabbed me by the hair. Then he yanks my face straight into his armpit. Smell it now, tell me what you think. He shouted and laughed like a psycho. It smelled horrible, obviously, but it was the feeling of it, the sheer principle that my face was being shoved into the grossest armpit into existence that truly traumatized me. I felt like I would never be clean again after that. I was screaming and clawing at him while basically blinded, but he had me planted there for what felt like eternity. However, before anyone else got there, I heard the loud clicking of a stun gun going off. I knew it was Madison's because she always kept one in her purse. The creep's whole body tensed up for a moment as he shouted in pain. Then he went limp enough for me to break free from his grasp. He staggered back and fell onto a shelf, but he was still standing. As soon as I regained my balance, I reached into my own purse and I grabbed my little bottle of mace. Before he could run away or attack us again, I unloaded the entire bottle into his face. All three of us were caught in the immense cloud of toxic chemicals, but he was getting the direct stream. I didn't hold back until he was on the floor, writhing in pain and crying like a baby. When the bottle was empty, Madison pounced on him and got him with the stun gun again, right on the neck, and she didn't let go. I was about to jump back in and start stomping on his balls, but that's when a bunch of employees arrived and broke the whole thing up. Obviously, that menace to society got arrested, and I'm still pressing charges. But honestly, what might be the worst thing about this whole ordeal is that I got banned from Target, just because I discharged mace to protect myself. I don't see how that's fair, but if Target wants to lose a loyal customer by disrespecting and invalidating them, that's fine. I'll go somewhere else. Somewhere I'm not going to get attacked by gross old men.